amid this escalation that is going on, there is, there will be high security in airports itself, who will be under radar itself. But yes, talking about, there will be people who would be, traveling from one place to another, would have to reach early itself, and there has been high security that has been put out in place across major airports to ensure passenger safety and prevent any potential threats itself. And clearly, people who are flyers or who are wanting to go from one place to another has to have a prior, needs to buy some time, rather needs to reach airport 3 hours before, so that, because there will be such security checks also that will be on proper place. So for that, the flyers need to reach out on time, and we also urge the flyers who might be watching us also on TV right now, we also urge them to reach on time, because there will be intense security checks that will be on place itself. Uday.
Absolutely. Also, of course, Pathikrit Pine continues to be live with us. Let me quickly draw you back in, Pathikrit. At the end of the day, of course, we have managed to foil Pakistan's nefarious designs, Pakistan's attempted escalation through these missiles and drones, through the day, of course, today, both late night yesterday, early morning today, and of course, late evening today as well. However, this is a time when we cannot be complacent as a country. We will not be, of course, but we cannot let our guard down, which is why these blackout measures are in place at the border, which is why, of course, there is this heightened security at key locations like, of course, airports. Pathikrit.
Absolutely. Uday, absolutely. And if I may just add, with your permission, that even if the swarm drones are being spotted by the air defense system, many of those actually carry ammunition payload. So even if they get intercepted in momentum, the splinters can fall on people on their rooftop. So they should all avoid being on rooftops when there are anti-drone operations being done by the armed forces. Secondly, it is very important to reach the airport earlier because of two reasons. Many of India's airports are used also simultaneously by the Indian Air Force or the Indian Navy for their air operations. So the priority will be for the Indian Air Force and Indian Navy.
Which is why we've seen those restrictions in place as well, of course, at particularly those sensitive airports that you're just talking about, which are mostly in the west and north of the country, Pathikrit.
Absolutely. And if I may also add, Uday, the similar activation of red alert is there in the eastern airports as well, because even as there are conflicts like situation in the western borders, if you see the deployment and the readiness, it is equal on the eastern side, because India is not keeping any stone unturned. So there is a 360-degree security which has been activated. Secondly, the potential possibility of Pakistan establishment trying to activate its sleeper cells for sabotage in India's critical installations cannot be ruled out. And that is the reason there is heightened security in the airports. And that is the reason everyone has been asked, if you are traveling, you should reach at least 3 hours earlier instead of 2 hours, because it's going to take time. There will be heightened surveillance, primarily because sabotage efforts by Pakistan cannot be ruled out. So there are multiple reasons, because this is not a war of government of India. This is not the war of armed forces alone. This is a war of India for the people of India, so that the terrorism and its menace can be destroyed forever. And that's why Indian armed forces and government of India requires our cooperation, our patience, our resilience, and we must listen to whatever instructions government gives. The civil defense drills that government has started across districts, they should be followed seriously, meticulously, because you never know, tomorrow they might be required.
Okay, Pathikrit, hi, this is Rishabh. I'm just back. I had stepped out just to get reorientation, because I obviously can't speak to anyone while I'm non-stop live for 7 hours. So I've had the opportunity to reorient and figure out what is going on, and I can share some important in principle information with anyone now who is watching, and we'll be continuing this live telecast, of course, non-stop. Now, the in principle important information to you is, and I'm not quoting any sources, I'm giving you the assessment that I have made after whatever conversations I need to have. So this is from me. The in principle point of information that is now being put out there is, number one, we are ready to stop, but after Pakistan stops. So, number one, we are ready to stop, but only after Pakistan stops. Number two, that we expect credible and verifiable action against the perpetrators of the Pahalgam attacks. And number three, we expect credible and verifiable action to dismantle the terror networks operating against India. This is the premise of operation. So, this is where we are in terms of the overall premise, because as you and I well know, hectic conversations are going on across multiple capitals simultaneously. To the best that I have been able to gather and assess, there is at no level any conversation going on directly between India and Pakistan. Not at the general levels. Remember, there are hotlines that exist on the LOC, hotlines that exist between operational commanders, and nothing. But the in principle 3-point stand which I have assessed, this is not a quotation from anyone in government, this is the assessment that I am making, is number one, we are ready to stop after, and the key word is after, Pakistan stops. That ends the immediate, what is a warlike situation. Number two, this must come with credible and verifiable action against the Pahalgam perpetrators. And number three, credible and verifiable action in dismantling terror networks operating in Pakistan against India. So, if you wanted terms and conditions, these are the in principle terms and conditions. Again, I repeat, I am not quoting one single individual or agency or anything. This is the assessment that I am making from whatever conversations that I needed to have and put whatever two and two together I could. Now, this is the in principle communication that is happening to whoever is asking, is curious, or wants to do something. Whether it's the Americans, the Italians, the Saudis, this is what is being communicated, that we are ready to stop after, and the key word is after Pakistan stops. And I mentioned the two conditions, one on Pahalgam and one on credible and verifiable action. Now, let's absorb as much information. What you're seeing on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, is deferred visuals. They're from a couple of hours ago from Jalandhar. What is happening on the ground? And that is a difficult one. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was very young, my hair had gone grey. I am now learning the perspective in real times, the perspective of what it actually feels like. So, when D-Day started, which was the Allied invasion of Normandy, and Erwin Rommel was the German field marshal on the other side, he told his troops that both for the Allies and the Germans, today will be the longest day. And I was just thinking to myself, here it is. In a generation, in 54 years, here we are, this is our longest day. Major Shah is in the studios with me. Major Shah, now the Indian Armed Forces, and that's an unhappy thing, but the Indian Armed Forces are not perpetually peacetime armed forces, particularly because something or the other for the past decades has always been going on in J&K. At this point of time, our job as civilians is to simply carry on as normal, be patient, understand that there will be an information vacuum. We can't report to you real time what's going on. It's not possible, even though there are blackouts and you're tense and you're stressed and you want the information. You want to be told, when can I get out of my house? Can I go to work tomorrow? Should I go to school? So be patient, follow the notifications coming your way, and that's it. But that's for us civilians. I want you to think of all the families of the armed forces who are observing this same information that you and I are, who do not know where their wives and husbands are deployed, who do not know what orders they've been given, who do not know where they've been asked to move to and what sorties or combat operations they've been asked to carry out. And imagine they have a different duty. So we have to just hold fast. They have to go and send their family members to fight. So Major Shah, like I said,